protected at all times. And then also, we hope to encourage both educational and empathetic understanding throughout all of campus. So we want to make sure that this is a place where you all, as incoming students, regardless of how one identifies, is fostering and growing an inclusive, safe space. So for those of you who identify to be a part of this community, who have come to this presentation today or to this session today, I understand that being in Arkansas, it's a southern state, and there is a lot of there are a lot of different feelings about rights of community in southern states. Like, that's what it is. We all know that. It's part of the Bible Belt. And not to say that community and religion are not mutually exclusive. You can exist in both spaces, of course. We do know that. But I do want to make it very apparent that this is still a place where you can feel safe and accepted, and a place that will help with that community building and that community support, regardless of one's decisions to disclose or not. So if you are an out and proud person, great. And if you are still proud and not quite as out yet, that's great too. It's whatever is the most comfortable and most safe for you. And we at DDI attempt to, that our hope is to make you feel supported in whichever way you find yourself. If I'm moving too fast, please let me know. Are there any questions? If you want to put them in the chat section, that's fine. I will share my email later on in this presentation. So if you don't necessarily feel comfortable voicing a question at this moment in time, that is totally fine too. You can definitely email me. If you want to unmute yourself and ask a question at any point, feel free to interrupt me. That's okay too. So are there any questions before I move forward? No? Cool. No problem. All right, so let's keep it moving. Also, so queer life at Arkansas Tech University. So currently we have one main registered student organization that is dedicated specifically to support and advocacy for the LGBTQIA+ community. And that's representative of students, most specifically, but staff and faculty kind of are fostered into that as well. So this organization aims to be an inclusive space for anyone, regardless of race, gender expression, sexuality, nationality, disability status, any of those things that you could think of that would add to diversity or diverse space. It's everyone is welcome. So essentially, Spectrum it's there to help foster a safe community, as well as fostering community that helps add with access and engaging students throughout campus. So if you have any questions about Spectrum, or if you're interested in joining Spectrum when you get to campus, I've added the email address here, and then I can also put it in the chat if you don't want to jot it down right now. But it is there for you all if you have any questions. The person who is your point of contact for Spectrum, anything related, is going to be Dr. Robert Stevens. And I've also added his email here as well. He's super nice, super great. He will answer any question that you have with the quickness. Whenever I have a question, he's always available. So he's definitely a really good point of contact if you are curious about joining Spectrum, or if you have ideas about engaging with Spectrum and pairing with them through another registered student organization and having paired programming, whatever that might be. he's definitely a great resource to reach out to. And his email here is rstevens5@atu.edu. So again, Dr. Stevens is great. So because we only really have Spectrum at this moment, if you don't see or know of any other organization that you would like to be a part of on campus, create one. It's super easy and super streamlined in order to implement registered student organizations. So for example, if you are so inclined to create a student organization called Bisexual Basket Weavers, and you're totally into basket weaving, and I don't know how many people like basket weaving, I don't know how popular it is, but if that's something that you're into, then it totally can be a thing. DDI serves as, like I said, a liaison. So what we want to do is help support you in that. So we can direct you to the right resources in terms of creating that student organization and helping you garner members, garner institutional support, whatever it is that you might need. And like I said, we want to hear from you about any ideas that you might have, not just related to creating student organizations, but anything at all. We want you to feel at home and have a sense of community here at Tech. So that is what we're here for, to make sure that you are feeling supported. Are there any questions before I move forward? Let me gauge the room. Not quite. Okay, totally fine. Let's keep it moving then. So again, like I said, just to kind of reiterate, Spectrum is the RSO that would be your point of contact for queer community building on campus. And Dr. Stevens is your point of contact to be engaged with that. Okay, so programs and events. Right now, the Department of Diversity and Inclusion helps host a few different events and programs that are related specifically to queer life and community on campus. So one thing that we do specifically is safe zone training. So with safe zone training, essentially what that is making sure that we are engaging with students, staff, and faculty and making sure that they are up to par when it comes to engagement with not only their counterparts, right, in terms of, what would you call that, proper, what's the word I want? I kind of just lost it. Proper engagement. So when we're talking about how we refer to people, pronouns, for example, I placed this graphic here to give you a little bit of an idea about pronoun usage, as well as all different kinds of things. Deidre can attest to the safe zone training that we've had. It's a lot of fun. We are very silly, but we also make sure that we are expressing the importance of understanding not only this community in terms of anything regarding mental health issues or numbers or statistics, to, like I said, pronoun usage, to ways in which communities are intersecting. So it's not just gender expression and sexuality, but how that overlaps with class, how that overlaps with race, all different sorts of things. So safe zone training, I definitely suggest it when you come to campus. It's available twice a semester. So we make sure that and also let me say that if you aren't able to come to one of our pre-planned trainings, certain organizations are able to request them. So if you are a part of a specific organization on campus, or if you work as a student worker in a particular office and the people in your office all want to participate in this training, but maybe that's not the best day for everyone, then definitely let us know, and we can work around schedules and try and have one specifically for you all. So for example, we hosted a safe zone training just for campus safety and the police department on campus. So those are things that we do as well. Also, through the Department of Diversity and Inclusion, we observe a few different days. So we observe International Pronouns Day on October 16th and the Trans Day of Remembrance on November 20th. So we make sure that we are lending our voices and the privileges that we have as advocates and allies on campus to communities that might not necessarily have the same ability to voice their needs or concerns, specifically related to Trans Day of Remembrance, because it is a day of memorialization for people who have lost their lives due to needless violence, just because of who they are. So those are two things that we do. And of course, like I said previously, if you don't see that we are recognizing something, or if you want to see our office specifically either highlight a particular day or a particular community or organization or whatever that might be, definitely let us know so we can plan for it and build that into our programming. I'm definitely always open to making sure that as many voices are amplified as possible. Also, one program that we also do is the Safe Space Roundtable. So this past semester, because of the COVID-19 global pandemic, campus closed, so we weren't able to host it. But it is something that has been done in the past, and we plan to do in the future if campus is open. But essentially what this is a brave space, safe space place where any student, any faculty, any staff member can come and sort of give anecdotes or share anything about their experiences either on campus or outside of campus related to queer life, I don't want to say issues, but queer or LGBTQ related life experiences. I'll say experiences. So that's definitely something that we really enjoy doing as well, and making sure that it's a space where people feel safe, as well as a space where their voices are amplified. And as advocates and allies, we do what we can to make sure that any needs are met if they can be on campus. Are there any questions before I go forward, or any ideas that people have, anything at all? Just let me know.
Shelby, I have a question.
Sure.
The Safe Zone trainings, if we were for worst case scenario, we weren't able to come back on campus this fall, will those be hosted virtually? I know we would.
Great. Yeah.
The interaction that we have for those trainings, or some of it to a certain extent, but will it be available virtually?
That's a really good question. So currently we don't have any plans to implement them virtually, but that can always change. We're still in the preliminary planning stages for this coming school year anyway, for all of our programming. So nothing is set in stone by any means. And if possible, we definitely would love to host Safe Zone trainings virtually for anyone that could come. So it doesn't have to be by department or student specific, if that's more comfortable for people, whatever that might look like. We as an office, we're definitely open to making that happen and creating that. I think it's a perfect idea. So definitely be on the lookout if things don't necessarily happen where we are all physically back on campus, or if we are back on campus and it's not necessarily the safest thing for too many people to be in one room at one time. That's definitely something that we can work on and plan on having sort of as a backup. So that's a really great question. And I'm going to jot that down because I don't want to forget it. So great. Thank you. Virtual safe zone. Okay. That's great. Thank you. Are there any other questions or comments anyone has? Nope. Okay. And of course, like I said, at any point in time, if you think of one, just blurt it out. That's totally fine. Or you can email me later on. So some additional resources. So like I said, this is specifically coming from the Department of Diversity and Inclusion. We host that Safe Zone training. That's not something that any other part of Student Affairs hosts on campus. So that's ours. You can find us in the Doc Bryant Student Services building. We're on the second floor. And our office email I've added here. It's diversity@atu.edu. So you can email that if you have any questions or comments or concerns, whether it's about this particular session here, or if you think of something in a few days or in a couple months from now, and you think, oh, I want to see this programming, or I would really love for us to talk about this, definitely shoot us an email there. Also, I have added some other resources that you can consider, one of which being the Title IX office. So if you or someone you know experiences some sort of incident, I guess you could say, whether it is harmful or discriminatory in nature, or if you or someone that you know is experiencing some sort of violence in any way, definitely, of course, let me first say, notify campus safety for sure if someone is, in danger of any kind. But also another resource you have is the Title IX office. They're really great people over there to engage with, and a lot of great resources that they also have. Also, housing and residence life. Great people over there too. If you have any questions or concerns related to housing specifically, or if you have anything that you need to talk about related to a rooming situation, so say that you might be in maybe a volatile living space, or whatever that might look like, you need certain types of accessibility in your residence hall, whatever that might be, definitely utilize housing and residence life. And then also the Health and Wellness Center. They are another great resource as well. So I've added the virtual LGBTQ support group information here. So that point of contact would be Craig Witcher, and I've added his email. It's cwitcher@atu.edu. So if you want to be a part of this, this support group here, definitely reach out to him. He is super engaged. He is also always trying to engage with us as a department and making sure that we have mental health programming happening as well that's very diversified. So please, even if it's not specifically about the support group, he's always a great resource as well. And then also I have two links here, one of which is through the Trevor Project that offers some mental health services. These are geared specifically for the LGBTQIA plus community. It's definitely for younger people. It's more, rather, I should say, it's more, the information is more tailored towards younger people. So your millennials and your Zoomers, if you will. So that's there. I definitely wanted to share that resource just to make sure that people have it, and you don't have to necessarily be a part of this community to utilize these resources. You can always share them with a friend or a family member. It's definitely important to utilize your voice and your privilege if you can to help people. Also, I've added a list of diversity mental health resources that are found on the Health and Wellness Center's website. So that is just another resource for you all. I definitely am a mental health and wellness advocate. I believe in therapy, and therapy is great for everybody. It doesn't have to be about, laying on a long couch and talking about all of your childhood issues. It can just be helping you get through the day. Sometimes it's just really nice to talk things out. So I definitely suggest those as well. And in terms of additional resources, are there any other questions about resources that either we offer or other entities on campus might offer? If not, no worries. Okay. Let me keep it pushing. Alrighty, well, that's actually all I have for you. So are there any questions? Like I said before, kind of just reiterating that. Is there anything that you have thought of during this presentation that you would like to see from our office directly related to programming? Any ways that we can support you as an institutional reference? Any ways that we can help you planning with creating organizations, trainings that you would like to see? I added some question marks because that could be anything. Whatever you'd like, definitely, if you have those questions now, the floor is definitely open. If you have the questions later, then the floor is open for that too. And I see Dr. Brooks has joined us. Hi, Dr. Brooks.
Hi, everyone. I am so sorry. I misread the invitation. I thought this was tomorrow. So I was off working on something else, and I was like, they're actually in a session right now. Get your butt online. I'm so sorry, y'all. But hi, how are you? And I'm sorry, Shelby, to you as well.
No worries at all. I'm glad that you're here, and kind of, everyone can see a face to the name for our office. And I told everyone where we're located on campus. So if you're unfamiliar with campus just yet, the Doc Ryan Student Services building is located directly across from Tucker Coliseum. So essentially, when you drive onto campus and you see the big Coliseum, or not Coliseum. Is it Coliseum or is it a stadium? Coliseum. The sports terminology. So the Coliseum, when you see that, we're directly behind it. So you'll see us on the second floor if you ever want to just stop by and say hi. Or if you have ideas about things that we can do to be better advocates on campus.
Absolutely. And I just want to say happy Pride Month.
Yes, also that. Thank you. Happy Pride, everybody.
Yeah, happy Pride Month.
I do have a question. So,
yes, please.
In reading my little notes about my roommates, I found out that my roommate is trans, and I have never met a trans. And so, like, I'm male to female, and I'm like, kind of like, I'm interested, and I'm not like, oh my gosh, I'm living, like, I'm not against it. Like, I have queer, I'm like, it's fine. My parents don't know, so right there. But like, and so like, I just want to know, how can I make living, sorry, my phone is going. Sorry about that. I just want to know, like, how can I, as a roommate, like, be inclusive? Because again, I've never met, like, I don't think I've ever met a trans person before.
No, that's really a good question. And I think that it's definitely important that, and shouldn't be looked over, that not only is that something that you're concerned about in terms of making sure that you're being a supportive person, like just as a human being, but also that it's something that you're thinking about in terms of how can I make this, for lack of a better term, not a big deal. So essentially, I think the best thing for you to do in engaging with your roommate is just to like engage with them as your roommate, as simple as that sounds. If you ever have questions, and I understand that everyone, there are different people who engage with their queerness in different ways. And so if you might ask a question out of genuine curiosity, someone might be like, oh yeah, it's totally X, Y, and Z. And another person might be like, well, that actually makes me feel kind of uncomfortable. And so it's definitely valid to experience those interactions in various ways. And it's really, just like if I was rooming with someone who was, who has short hair and I have long hair, and, I am asking them for a flat iron because I want to straighten my hair, but they don't have one because they have short hair, like someone might be offended, like, well, obviously I don't have long hair. Why would I have a flat iron? But another person would be like, well, I mean, I don't have one, but I know, so-and-so down the hall has one. I'll go see if, she can lend you hers. Mm-hmm. So I say all that to say, it's really good to know that it's something that you're passionate about in terms of making a space inclusive and safe and welcoming. And a good rule of thumb is to kind of always ask, like, hey, I understand that this might be kind of new for both of us. I'm not going to make it a big deal. We're just going to kind of get it all handled right now, and then that's it. And then we move on and we're cool and we go to, get lunch on weekends or whatever.
First move-in night. Be like, let's just lay everything out on the table.
Like, we're all, it's all something that it's here. So let's kick this element out of the room and then move on with our lives. And so I think that's, of course, like I said, that might not be well received. And I hopefully am not giving you terrible advice. But you could have any kind of roommate interaction of any kind that
we've been texting, but it's just like not like that face to face. Like I'm nervous that, like, what if I call her the wrong pronoun? Like, does she even want to have her? Does she want to still use him? Like, is she they and them? Like, there's like so many questions that like, I don't want to be like, hey, what is your favorite? Like, what's your pronoun? Like, over the phone, because I feel like that won't be taken well.
No, that's definitely, it's a good thing that you're being compassionate and considerate in that way, and making it much more personal than, like you said, just sending a text, because that can be misconstrued in a number of different ways, potentially. So if you feel more comfortable, and if you believe that your roommate might feel more comfortable kind of engaging with that in a personal face-to-face context, then I definitely suggest it. I would say, though, I think it's okay to ask, like, hey, since we're living together as just two people, and if you're not used to living with someone in close quarters, regardless, like, are there certain things you want to talk about now, or do you want to kind of discuss that stuff later? Mm-hmm. If you want to do it later, totally cool. If you want to do it now, also super cool. So I think that that's definitely an okay thing to think about, especially if it's kind of a new territory for everyone. Mm-hmm. And depending on this person and their life experiences or their journey or whatever you want to, demark that as, they might be really open to it, or maybe not so much. And if they aren't, then you have to respect that. Mm-hmm. So hopefully that answers your question in a very roundabout way. Yeah, no worries.
I was just going to ask, not ask, but I was just going to add to what Shelby was saying. If you just preface your statement with, I want this to be, I want to make this or be a part of making this as much of a welcoming environment as possible, and I want to make sure that I'm honoring you, right, and I'm being respectful, yada yada yada. Mm-hmm. If you want to share your pronouns, cool. Or if you want to talk about any of that stuff now, that's cool. If you want to talk about it later, that's fine. If you want to talk about it at all. But just for the sake of me wanting to make sure I'm being respectful and being inclusive, I want to be able to honor you in that way. So I would just preface your conversation.
Yeah, I just have like this little mama bear in me. I saw that she was 18, trans, and she's an RA, and I was like, whoa, like that's a lot for me. Like, I'm like, I can't do that as an 18-year-old. So I wanted to be like, come home, like relax, like you're in a safe space, you don't have to like stress about
Yeah.
anything. I was like, you a baby, like you're I don't want you to stress about things.
Yeah. More times than not, they're usually very appreciative of you saying those things. Because they, like us as Black people, they live in a world where everybody doesn't have to think about that specific marginalization that they have. So you bringing that up and being like, hey, I know this is what it is, and I want to be respectful. I think that's going to knock down a lot of barriers and you know basically disintegrate any barriers if they are there in the first place. So yeah, I think you're right on point with doing that.
Thank you guys.
No, thank you.
Yeah, thank you. Are there any other questions that anyone has? Or comments or concerns? We're doing like super well on time. That's why the floor is completely open. I do recognize that, the presentation was a little brief, but in its brevity, I do want to reiterate that tech is a place where there are a lot of very well-intentioned people and a lot of community that can be and is being built there. So for anyone who either finds themselves directly aligned or directly not involved, identifies with this community, with the LGBT community, or as an advocate or ally, whatever it might be, there is a space and a home for you here. I don't want anyone to feel as if I can't talk about this if I feel like I just can't. Of course, like I said previously, disclosure is a very personal thing, and no one should ever feel forced to be open. That's not what we're trying to do. What we are trying to do is say, if you feel comfortable and if you feel as if this can be a safe place for you, it will be. And I am here, so you can quote me on this, but I will always, be an advocate. I am not quiet about that. So if you feel as if, and I feel like I'm speaking kind of for all of us here, who are staff and in this space, we are not going to shy away from, making sure that you are being protected. Because when you come to tech, it is literally our jobs as staff and faculty on this campus to protect you. This is your home for however many years or months or whatever you will be here. So if you ever feel, X, Y, and Z ways, if you don't feel comfortable enough going to maybe, your RA or your professor or whomever, hopefully you do, but if you don't, we're definitely here as well, to advocate and to protect you to the best of our abilities.
Absolutely.
Mm-hmm. I don't think I have anything else. Oh, I will. So I'm going to stop screen sharing now. And then what I'm going to do is go ahead and I don't know if they're in here or not. Yes, they're not. So what I'm going to do is add the links that I was talking about, just so that everyone has them related to the mental health services, as well as my personal email. I just tend to check that one more. So if you want to email me and you have any questions, please do not hesitate to do that. So here is the Trevor Project. So these are mental health services that are offered through, or not through them, but that they have access to and have shared. And then these are the ones on our campus website. So those are two different links there. You can obviously read and see what they are. And did anyone want the, you know what, it doesn't matter. I will put it in here anyway, if you want it or not. So here's the Spectrum email. So here, Spectrum. So that's the email for them. And then for, what am I looking for? So many emails, so many links. The virtual support group, that is here as well. So that's Dr. Craig Witcher. And then my email here is snorman and the number 5 at atu.edu. So if you feel like you want to send me an email about anything, feel free to do that. If you don't, do it through the diversity ATU email.
And me as well.
I can add, yes, I'll add Dr. Brooks's email as well. So, and D Brooks and the number 3 at ATU dot, whoops, that's not right, at atu.edu is her email. So if you want to shoot either of us an email about whatever, feel free.
Actually, Shelby, it's N Brooks because it's my first name.
Just kidding.
Sorry.
No, it's fine. N Brooks
3.
You would think I would know that by now, but here we are.
Okay. It's really weird, y'all, because my first name is Naquindra, but I go by Danielle at work. So my email is N Brooks, but everyone calls me Danielle. So it can definitely see why anybody could confuse it.
That is such a unique name. I don't think I've ever heard anybody have that name.
Well, thank you. Blame my parents.
Okay, I think that was, were there any other links or anything that I left out that anyone was remembering or thinking of?
I think you got them all.
Okay, sounds good. Well, I hope that you all decide to come and visit us in Doc Bryant when we are hopefully back on campus. Like I said, if you ever just want to come and say hi, or if you have very specific plans and ideas about things that you want to see implemented, whether that's institutionally or just some kind of programming, please let us know. Dr. Brooks, do you have anything else that you want to add?
No, I think I'm good. It's just really good to see you all.
Yes.
That's it.
And
Thanks
please
for
stay
allowing us
well,
to
everyone.
Please.
Yeah.
Like both Dr. Brooks and Shelby have said, thank you all for joining us. I do want to let you all know, if you have not heard yet, we will be sending out an email at the end of this week about an app that we will be releasing to encourage continued connection with us, continued connection with each other, so that we can grow this network of our incoming freshmen that we will be having on campus. So I encourage you all to download that app when the email comes. I also want to plug, if you have not yet, to schedule your academic advising appointment, because that's so important, especially because, like Kendall, you were talking about housing and how you've already met with your roommate. If you have a space on campus already, but you don't have an academic advising appointment or have not made your schedule, they start removing you from your housing space. And so make sure that you get your academic advising appointment scheduled, and so that you can get your classes registered for next semester. But we'll let you go early if no one has any other questions or anything like that. It'll be 4 o'clock is our next session. It's in the know. It'll be a student panel. So all of the students are current students. One of them is our SGA president. 2 of them are actually student workers in the admissions office, and so they'll be giving you some do's and don'ts of what to do on campus, how their experiences have been, all types of things like that. So we have a little bit of a break, and I encourage you all to come back and join us at 4 o'clock. If there's nothing else, then I'll let you go.
Bye, everyone. Thank you again.
Take care.
Bye.